The late afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked asphalt of Millbrook, Texas, a small town 40 miles west of Beaumont where everyone knew everyone's business. Jack Morrison sat on the worn wooden porch of his modest ranch-style house, watching Duke chase grasshoppers in the yellowing grass of his front yard. The 8-year-old chocolate Labrador retriever moved with the kind of boundless energy that made Jack forget, at least for a moment, that his knees ached and his hands trembled when the nightmares came back. At 62, Jack had learned to measure his life in small victories, getting out of bed without the weight of depression crushing his chest, making it through a 4th of July celebration without diving for cover at the sound of fireworks. Going a full week without seeing Janet's face in his dreams, her warm smile frozen in time 3 years before cancer took her away. Duke had been Janet's idea, a final gift she had arranged before the hospice care began. The dog had become more than a pet. He was Jack's anchor to the present, his reminder that life still held moments worth experiencing. "Come here, boy," Jack called, his voice rough from years of barking orders across desert bases during the Gulf War. Duke bounded up the porch steps, tail wagging furiously, and dropped a tennis ball at Jack's feet. The veteran reached down, his weathered fingers scratching behind the dog's ears, feeling the familiar calm wash over him. This simple routine, throwing the ball, watching Duke retrieve it, feeling the dog's unconditional love, had saved Jack's life more times than he could count. The sound of an engine disrupted the peaceful evening. A battered grey pickup truck rolled slowly down Cedar Street, its windows tinted dark enough to violate Texas law. Jack's instincts, honed by 2 decades in the Army, prickled at the base of his neck. The truck had passed his house twice in the last hour, and Millbrook wasn't the kind of place where people drove aimlessly. The town's population barely cracked 3,000, and strangers stood out like tumbleweeds in a swimming pool. Duke's ears perked up and a low growl rumbled from his chest. Jack placed a calming hand on the dog's head, watching the truck disappear around the corner near the old Baptist church. Easy, boy. Probably just lost. But the unease didn't leave him. He stood, his joints protesting the movement, and decided to take Duke inside earlier than usual. The evening news would be starting soon anyway, and his routine rarely varied. Dinner at 6, news at 6:30, bed by 9. The next morning arrived with the kind of oppressive heat that made the air shimmer above the pavement. Jack woke at 5:30, his internal alarm clock still set to military time despite retiring 15 years ago. He shuffled to the kitchen, started the coffee maker, and opened the back door to let Duke out into the fenced yard. The dog shot outside like a furry bullet, making his usual rounds to inspect the perimeter and mark his territory. Jack poured himself a cup of black coffee and stood at the kitchen window, watching Duke sniff around the old oak tree in the corner of the yard. The morning routine was sacred. It gave structure to days that otherwise threatened to blur into meaningless repetition. He thought about the upcoming meeting of the Iron Brotherhood, the road biking group he'd joined 2 years ago on the recommendation of his VA therapist. Dr. Helen Chen had insisted that connecting with other veterans would help manage his PTSD, and for once, a therapist had been right. 20 minutes passed. Jack glanced at the clock, frowning. Duke usually finished his morning business in 10 minutes, then scratched at the back door demanding breakfast. The veteran set down his coffee mug and walked to the door, calling out, "Duke, breakfast, boy!" Silence answered him. The yard was empty. Jack's heart rate accelerated. He stepped outside, barefoot on the cool morning grass, scanning every corner of the yard. The fence stood intact, no gaps or holes where a dog could escape. "Duke!" His voice grew louder, edged with panic. He walked the perimeter, checking the gate, still latched from the inside. The dog hadn't gotten out on his own. Then Jack saw it. Fresh tire tracks in the soft dirt of the alley behind his property, and the back gate, which he always kept locked, hung open. The lock had been cut clean through, the metal gleaming where bolt cutters had sheared it. His hands began to shake, not from the PTSD this time, but from pure rage mixed with terror. Someone had come into his yard. Someone had taken Duke. Jack ran inside, ignoring the pain shooting through his bad knee, and grabbed his cell phone. His fingers fumbled over the screen as he dialed 911, his breath coming in short gasps. The operator's calm voice did nothing to slow his racing heart. 911, what's your emergency? My dog's been stolen. Someone cut my lock and took him right out of my yard. Jack paced his kitchen, the phone pressed hard against his ear. Sir, I understand you're upset, but we need to handle this through the proper channels. Animal theft is typically a civil matter. Civil matter, Jack's voice rose. Someone broke into my property. They vandalized my gate and stole my service dog. It wasn't technically true. Duke wasn't certified as a service animal, but Jack didn't care about technicalities right now. I'll send an officer to take a report, sir. Can I have your address? Jack provided his information, then ended the call and immediately dialed another number. William Patterson, known to everyone as Bull, answered on the third ring, his gravelly voice thick with sleep. This better be good, Morrison. It's barely 6 in the morning. Bull, they took Duke. Someone came into my yard and stole him. Jack's voice cracked. He leaned against the kitchen counter, feeling the world tilt slightly. Without Duke, the house felt cavernous and empty, just like it had in the months after Janet died. Bull's tone changed instantly, shedding any trace of sleepiness. I'm on my way. Don't do anything stupid before I get there. You hear me, Jack? Wait for me. The next 3 hours crawled by like weeks. Officer Raymond Cooper arrived 45 minutes after Jack's call, a young cop who looked fresh out of the academy. He took photos of the cut lock, noted the tire tracks, and filled out a report with the kind of detached efficiency that made Jack want to grab him by his pressed uniform and shake some urgency into him. We'll keep an eye out, Mr. Morrison, Cooper said, clicking his pen and tucking his notepad away. But between you and me, dog thefts are hard to solve. Usually they turn up in a few days, or someone tries to sell them online. Check Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. That's where most stolen pets end up. You're not going to investigate? Jack followed the officer to his patrol car, desperation making his voice sharp. We'll add it to our active cases, but I have to be honest with you. We've got a lot on our plate right now. Budget cuts mean we're down 3 officers, and we're dealing with a string of burglaries on the east side of town. Cooper's expression held genuine sympathy, but it didn't change the message. Duke wasn't a priority. After the officer left, Jack stood in his driveway, feeling more helpless than he had since waking up in a field hospital in Iraq with shrapnel in his leg, and 3 of his squad members dead. The roar of a motorcycle engine cut through his spiral of dark thoughts. Bull Patterson pulled up on his Harley-Davidson Road Glide, the bike's chrome gleaming in the morning sun. Behind him, 2 more bikes appeared, Thomas Green on a BMW K1600 and Daniel Kowalski riding a Honda Goldwing. Bull dismounted, pulling off his helmet to reveal a weathered face framed by steel gray hair and a beard that would make a lumberjack jealous. At 65, he still carried himself like the Marine sergeant he'd been in Vietnam, broad-shouldered and solid as a tank. He crossed the distance to Jack in 3 long strides and gripped his friend's shoulder. "Tell me everything," Bull said. Jack recounted the story, the suspicious truck from the previous evening, the cut lock, the tire tracks, the police officer's dismissive response. As he spoke, Thomas and Daniel joined them, forming a circle in Jack's driveway. Thomas, a wiry African-American man of 58 who'd served in Desert Storm, shook his head in disgust. Daniel, the youngest of the group at 52 and a veteran of the early Afghanistan campaigns, cracked his knuckles with barely contained anger. "This is bullshit," Daniel said, his Chicago accent still strong despite 20 years in Texas. "They can't just blow you off like this. The cop said to check online marketplaces, Jack said, hearing the defeat in his own voice. Like Duke is some stolen stereo I can just buy back. Bull's jaw tightened. We're not waiting around for the police to get their act together. The Brotherhood takes care of its own, and that includes Duke. He pulled out his phone and started making calls. I'm getting the crew together. We're going to find your dog, Jack, whatever it takes. By noon, Jack's house had become an unofficial command center. 12 members of the Iron Brotherhood filled his living room, their motorcycles lined up along the street like a chrome cavalry. These weren't outlaws or criminals. They were veterans who'd found solace in the open road, men and women who understood what it meant to serve and to suffer. There was Vincent Hayes, a soft-spoken medic from the Iraq War. Catherine Wright, one of the few female members who'd flown helicopters in Bosnia. Gregory Foster, whose PTSD was so severe he rarely spoke, but who never missed a group ride. Bull stood in the center of the room, his presence commanding attention without effort. Here's what we know. Jack's dog was taken sometime between 5:30 and 6 this morning. The thieves knew what they were doing. They cut the lock clean and got in and out fast. Jack saw a suspicious grey pickup yesterday evening, circling the neighborhood. That suggests planning, not a crime of opportunity. Why would someone steal a dog? Catherine asked, her arms crossed. I mean, labs are valuable, but breaking into someone's yard seems like a lot of risk for a pet you could buy from a breeder. Thomas spoke up, his voice grim. Dog fighting. I've heard rumors there's been an uptick in stolen dogs around Beaumont and the surrounding counties. They use them as bait animals to train fighting dogs. Makes them vicious. The room fell silent. Jack felt his stomach drop. The image of Duke, gentle and loving Duke, being torn apart by pit bulls bred for violence, it was too much. He stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I need air. He walked out to the porch, his hands shaking again. Bull followed him outside. The two men stood in silence for a long moment, watching the heat waves shimmer above the asphalt. Finally, Bull spoke. We're going to find him, brother, before anything happens to him. I promise you that. How? Jack's voice was barely a whisper. We don't even know where to start. Yes, we do. Bull turned to face him. I know a guy, Hector Ramirez. He's not exactly on the right side of the law, but he hears things. Runs a chop shop over in Vidor. If there's illegal activity happening in this part of Texas, Hector knows about it. I'll pay him a visit this afternoon. Jack met his friend's eyes. I'm coming with you. Figured you would, Bull said with a slight smile. But we do this smart. No cowboy stuff. We gather information, we make a plan, and then we act. Agreed. Jack nodded, feeling the first flicker of hope since finding the empty yard that morning. He wasn't alone in this. The Brotherhood had his back, just like his squad had in the desert all those years ago. And just like in the military, they would complete the mission. They would bring Duke home. The ride to Vidor took 40 minutes on Highway 105, the afternoon sun turning the asphalt into a ribbon of shimmering heat. Jack rode behind Bull on his own bike, a Yamaha FJR 1300 he'd bought used 3 years ago when the loneliness after Janet's death had become unbearable. The wind whipping past his helmet helped clear his mind, the familiar rhythm of the road bringing a measure of calm to his churning thoughts. Behind them, Thomas and Daniel followed, their bikes maintaining a tight formation that spoke of years riding together. Vidor sat on the outskirts of Beaumont, a working-class town with a complicated history and a reputation for being rough around the edges. Bull led them through a maze of industrial streets until they reached a warehouse surrounded by a chain-link fence topped with barbed wire. A faded sign read, Ramirez Auto Salvage, but everyone knew the real business here had nothing to do with legally salvaging vehicles. Bull killed his engine and dismounted, signaling for the others to wait. Let me do the talking. Hector's jumpy around people he doesn't know, especially when they roll up 4 deep. He approached the gate and pressed a buzzer mounted on a weathered post. A crackling voice came through the intercom. "We're closed." "It's Bull Patterson. Need 5 minutes of your time, Hector?" A long pause followed, then the gate buzzed and swung open. Bull waved Jack forward, and the two of them walked into the yard while Thomas and Daniel stayed with the bikes. The smell of motor oil and rust hung heavy in the air. Car parts littered the ground in seemingly random piles, but Jack's trained eye recognized the organized chaos. Everything was sorted by value and portability. Hector Ramirez emerged from the main building, wiping his hands on a greasy rag. He was shorter than Jack expected, maybe 5'6", but built like a fire hydrant, with arms covered in tattoos that disappeared into his oil-stained t-shirt. His dark eyes assessed the two bikers with practiced wariness. "Bull, been a while." Hector's voice carried the musical lilt of someone who'd grown up speaking Spanish before English. "What brings you to my humble establishment?" "Looking for information," Bull said, his tone friendly but firm. "Someone stole my friend's dog yesterday, chocolate lab, 8 years old. We think it might be connected to the dog-fighting rings that have been operating around here." Hector's expression didn't change, but Jack saw his shoulders tense slightly. "I don't know nothing about dog-fighting. That's nasty business." "I'm not saying you're involved," Bull continued, his voice dropping lower. "But you hear things. People talk. I need to know who's running these operations and where they might be keeping the dogs. And if I did know something, why would I tell you? That kind of talk gets a man hurt." Hector crossed his arms, the rag still clutched in one fist. Jack stepped forward, unable to stay silent any longer. "Because that dog is all I have left. My wife died 3 years ago. I've got PTSD that makes every day a battle to get out of bed. Duke, that's his name, he keeps me alive, literally. Without him..." Jack's voice caught. He wasn't used to being this vulnerable, especially in front of strangers, but desperation overrode pride. Something shifted in Hector's expression. He studied Jack for a long moment, then sighed. "I got a kid, 7 years old, loves dogs more than anything. If someone took his dog, I'd burn the whole damn city down to get it back." He glanced around the yard, making sure they were alone. "There's a guy named Curtis Brennan. He runs with a rough crowd, been setting up dogfights in different locations to stay ahead of the cops. Word is, they've been stealing dogs from around the area. Pets, strays, doesn't matter. They use the gentle ones as bait to make their fighters meaner." Jack felt his hands ball into fists. The image of Duke facing down a trained attack dog made his vision blur with rage. Bull placed a steadying hand on Jack's arm before speaking to Hector again. "Where can we find Brennan?" "He moves around, but I heard his crew hangs out at a bar called the Rusty Nail in Sour Lake. It's a dump, the kind of place where nobody asks questions and everybody minds their own business. Brennan's usually there Thursday nights, playing poker in the back room." Hector paused, his expression grave. "You didn't hear this from me, and be careful. Brennan's got a mean streak and friends who are even worse. He put a guy in the hospital last month for looking at him wrong." "We'll handle it," Bull said. He pulled a folded $100 bill from his wallet and offered it to Hector, who waved it away. "Keep your money, just get that dog back safe. And if you happen to put Brennan out of business while you're at it, well, that's just good karma." Hector turned to walk back to his building, then stopped. "One more thing. They usually keep the dogs at a property outside Cole, near the Louisiana border. Old farmhouse with a red barn. I don't know the exact address, but there can't be that many matching that description out there." The ride back to Millbrook felt longer than the trip out. Jack's mind raced with possibilities and plans, each one more violent than the last. He wanted to ride straight to Sour Lake, find Curtis Brennan, and beat Duke's location out of him with his bare hands. But he knew that approach would land him in jail and wouldn't help Duke. They needed to be smart, methodical, like planning a military operation. Back at Jack's house, the Brotherhood gathered again. Bull spread a map of the area on the dining room table, while Catherine pulled up satellite images on her laptop. The town of Call sat an hour northeast of Millbrook, a tiny community that barely registered on most maps. Zooming in on the satellite view, they identified 3 properties that matched Hector's description. Old farmhouses with red barns. "We need reconnaissance," Thomas said, studying the map with the analytical mind that had made him a successful civil engineer after leaving the military. "We can't just burst in guns blazing. We need to confirm Duke is there, figure out how many people we're dealing with, and plan our approach." "I'll do a ride-by tomorrow," Vincent offered. "I can use my helmet camera, get some footage. If they see a lone biker on the road, they won't think twice about it." Gregory, who rarely spoke during meetings, surprised everyone by saying, "I'll go with you. 2 bikers look more natural than one, like we're just out for a ride." Bull nodded approvingly. "Good. Vincent and Gregory do recon tomorrow. The rest of us will dig into Curtis Brennan, find out everything we can about him and his operation. Jack, I know you want to be in the thick of this, but I need you to stay patient. Can you do that?" Jack wanted to argue, to demand they move faster, but he understood the wisdom in Bull's approach. Rushing in unprepared had gotten soldiers killed in combat. "I'll wait, but not long. Every hour Duke is with these people." "I know," Bull said quietly. "We're moving as fast as we can while staying smart. Thursday night we pay a visit to the Rusty Nail. We'll have a conversation with Mr. Brennan, very persuasive-like. By this time next week, Duke will be home. You have my word." The next day crawled by with agonizing slowness. Jack tried to keep busy, but everything in the house reminded him of Duke. The dog bowl by the back door, the worn tennis balls scattered in the yard, the indent in the couch cushion where Duke always curled up during the evening news. Jack found himself standing in the kitchen at 6 in the morning, staring at the empty yard, reliving that horrible moment of realization. His phone rang mid-morning. Bull's name appeared on the screen. Vincent and Gregory just finished their recon run. They found the place. Second property they checked, old farmhouse, red barn, about a dozen dogs in kennels behind the barn. They couldn't get close enough to confirm if Duke was there, but they saw 2 guards and heard a lot of barking. Jack's heart hammered against his ribs. "When do we go in?" "Not yet. We stick to the plan. Thursday night we talk to Brennan. We need him to confirm the location and give us details about security. How many people are usually there when they're planning the next fight? Information is our weapon right now." "And if he doesn't want to talk?" Bull's laugh was cold. "Then we'll have to be very convincing. Meet at my place tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock. Wear dark clothes and Jack, bring that famous temper of yours under control. We need answers, not a murder charge." Wednesday evening, Jack stood in front of his bathroom mirror, barely recognizing the man staring back at him. His eyes were hollowed from lack of sleep, his face gaunt. He hadn't eaten more than a few bites since Duke disappeared. The tremor in his hands had worsened, and twice today he'd experienced flashbacks to Iraq, the kind he hadn't had in months. Duke's absence had torn away his coping mechanisms, leaving him vulnerable to the demons he'd worked so hard to control. He thought about calling Dr. Chen, his VA therapist, but what could she do? Tell him to practice his breathing exercises? Duke was his therapy, his reason for getting up each morning. Without the dog, Jack felt himself slipping back into the dark place he'd occupied after Janet's death. That hollow, numb existence where each day bled into the next without meaning or purpose. The sound of his phone notification pulled him from his thoughts. Catherine had sent a message to the Brotherhood's group chat. "Found Brennan's social media. This guy's a real piece of work. Posted photos from a fight last month. Looks like they're making serious money. Shared to the group drive." Jack opened the shared folder on his phone and immediately wished he hadn't. The photos showed a makeshift fighting pit surrounded by cheering spectators. Two pit bulls locked in brutal combat while men exchanged fistfuls of cash. Curtis Brennan appeared in several shots, a heavy-set man in his 40s with a shaved head and a neck tattoo of a snarling dog. His smile in the photos was cruel, the expression of someone who enjoyed the violence. Another photo showed caged dogs in the background, some missing fur, others bearing obvious scars. Jack enlarged the image, scanning each cage desperately for any sign of Duke. The resolution wasn't high enough to make out details, but his heart lurched when he spotted what might be a chocolate lab in one of the smaller cages. The dog's head was down, its posture defeated. Jack's phone rang. It was Thomas. "You saw the photos?" "Yeah. I know what you're thinking, but don't. Don't go there alone. We do this together, as a team. That's the only way this works." Thomas's voice was firm, but understanding. "I've been where you are, brother. When I came back from Iraq, my marriage was falling apart. I was drinking too much, and I thought about eating my gun every single day. The only thing that saved me was leaning on my squad, my brothers who understood what I was going through. Let us be your squad now." Jack closed his eyes, fighting back tears he hadn't shed since Janet's funeral. "I don't know if I can wait until tomorrow night. What if they hurt him? What if they've already used him in a fight?" "Then we make them pay for it," Thomas said simply. "But we do it smart, we do it right, and we do it together. I'll see you tomorrow at Bull's place. Get some sleep if you can." Sleep didn't come. Jack lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the oppressive silence of a house that felt too empty. Around 3 in the morning, he got up and walked through each room, turning on lights, desperate to chase away the shadows. He ended up in the garage, where Duke's leash hung on a hook by the door to the house. Jack took it down, the leather worn smooth from years of use, and sat on the concrete floor with his back against the Yamaha. This was rock bottom. This was the place he'd promised Janet he'd never go again, the edge of the cliff where despair waited to pull him over. But even in this dark moment, a stubborn ember of determination glowed in his chest. He wasn't alone. He had the Brotherhood. And together, they would bring Duke home, no matter what it took. Thursday evening arrived shrouded in clouds that promised rain. Jack rode to Bull's house on the outskirts of Millbrook, a sprawling property with a workshop larger than most people's homes. 8 motorcycles were already parked in the driveway when he arrived. Inside the workshop, Bull had set up a planning area with maps, photos, and notes covering a large workbench. "Tonight, we're just gathering intelligence," Bull told the assembled group. "Thomas, Daniel, Vincent, and I will go into the Rusty Nail. The rest of you will be nearby in case things go sideways. Jack, you're staying in the parking lot. I know you want to confront Brennan personally, but you're too emotionally invested. You might do something that compromises the mission." Jack wanted to argue, but forced himself to nod. Bull was right, much as he hated to admit it. They arrived at the Rusty Nail just after 9 o'clock, the bar's neon sign flickering against the darkening sky. The building was exactly what Jack had pictured, a squat cinder-block structure with barred windows and a gravel parking lot filled with beat-up trucks and a few motorcycles. Country music thumped from inside, and the smell of stale beer wafted out every time the door opened. Jack waited on his bike at the edge of the parking lot, Catherine beside him on her Ducati Multistrada. The other Brotherhood members were positioned at strategic points around the area, ready to respond if needed. Through his helmet's Bluetooth, Jack listened to Bull's quiet narration as the team entered the bar. "Place is about half full. Pool table in the corner, bar along the left wall. I see a door in the back, probably leads to the poker room Hector mentioned." Bull's voice was calm, professional. "We're ordering beers, acting casual, stand by." 10 minutes passed, like hours. Jack's hands gripped the handlebars of his bike so tightly his fingers ached. Finally, Bull's voice came through again. "Brennan just walked in. He's heading to the back room. We're going to give him a few minutes to settle. Then Thomas and I will have a chat. Vincent and Daniel are staying at the bar to watch our backs. More waiting. Jack's leg bounced with nervous energy. Catherine reached over and squeezed his arm, a silent gesture of support. Then Bull's voice lower and more tense. We're at the backroom door, going in now. What Jack heard next made his blood run cold. Bull's voice conversational at first. Curtis Brennan, we need a word. Then other voices, angry and aggressive. The sound of furniture scraping, someone shouting, "Who the hell are you?" followed by Bull's response, no longer friendly. The people who are going to shut down your dog fighting operation unless you tell us exactly what we want to know. Then chaos, crashes, shouts, the unmistakable sound of a fight. Bull's voice cut through the noise. We've got a situation. Brennan's got friends, and they're not friendly. Jack didn't hesitate. He kicked his bike to life and roared across the parking lot, Catherine right behind him. The other Brotherhood members converged on the bar from their positions. Jack burst through the door to find a full-scale brawl in progress. Bull and Thomas fighting 4 men near the back of the bar, while Vincent and Daniel tried to hold off 3 more by the pool table. Jack's military training took over. He moved with purpose, dodging a thrown beer bottle and driving his fist into the gut of a man trying to grab Thomas from behind. The man doubled over, and Jack followed with an elbow to the jaw that sent him crashing into a table. Catherine appeared beside him, using her smaller size to her advantage, ducking under a wild swing and delivering a brutal kick to her attacker's knee that dropped him like a sack of cement. The fight lasted maybe 90 seconds, though it felt like an eternity. When the dust settled, 8 men lay groaning on the floor or slumped against walls. Curtis Brennan himself sat pinned against the bar by Bull's forearm across his throat, blood streaming from his nose. Last chance to do this the easy way, Bull growled. Where are the dogs? When's the next fight? And what's the security at your property? Brennan's eyes were wild with pain and fear, but he spat blood and said, "Go to hell." Jack stepped forward, and everyone in the room recognized the look on his face, the expression of a man with absolutely nothing left to lose. He leaned in close to Brennan, his voice deadly quiet. "You have my dog, a chocolate lab named Duke. You took him from my yard 3 days ago. If anything has happened to him, if he has a single scratch on him, I will make you wish you'd never been born. Tell us where he is, now." Something in Jack's eyes must have convinced Brennan that the threat was real, because his bravado crumbled. "The farm outside Call, the one with the red barn. We've got maybe 20 dogs there. Your lab, if he's the one Thompson brought in Monday morning, he's probably still in quarantine. We don't use new dogs right away. Have to make sure they're healthy first." "How many people guard the property?" Bull asked, maintaining the pressure on Brennan's throat. 2, usually. Sometimes 3 if we're getting ready for a fight. Look, man, I'm just the organizer. I don't hurt the dogs myself." "Shut up," Jack said flatly. "When's the next fight?" "Saturday night. We're expecting a big crowd. Maybe 100 people. The dogs are worth serious money, and people come from 3 states to bet." Brennan's voice took on a pleading quality. "Let me go, and I'll give you your dog back. I'll even call off the fights. Just don't go to the cops." Bull released Brennan, who slumped against the bar, clutching his throat. "We're not going to the cops. We're going to that farm tomorrow, and we're taking every single dog you've got. And if you or any of your people try to stop us, you'll answer to all of us. Understand?" Brennan nodded weakly. The bartender, who'd been crouched behind the bar during the fight, slowly rose with his hands up. "I don't want any trouble. Just take your business outside, please." The Brotherhood filed out of the Rusty Nail, leaving destruction and groaning men in their wake. In the parking lot, Jack's hands were shaking again, but this time from adrenaline rather than fear or PTSD. Bull clapped him on the shoulder. "Tomorrow morning, we ride to Call. We get Duke and every other dog in that place, and we burn Brennan's operation to the ground. Everyone in?" A chorus of agreement rose from the group. Jack felt tears prick his eyes, not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude. These people, his brothers and sisters in the Brotherhood, were risking everything to help him. They barely knew Duke, but they understood what the dog meant to Jack, and that was enough. "Thank you," Jack said, his voice rough with emotion. "All of you. I don't have the words." "You don't need words," Catherine said, pulling off her helmet to reveal a fierce smile. "You'd do the same for any of us. That's what family does. Now let's go home and get some rest. Tomorrow we bring Duke home." Friday morning broke grey and heavy with the promise of rain. Jack had managed maybe 2 hours of fitful sleep, his mind churning through every possible scenario of what they'd find at the farm in Call. He was up before dawn, methodically checking his bike, tire pressure, oil level, brake fluid, the familiar routine helping to calm his racing thoughts. At 7 o'clock, his phone buzzed with a message from Bull. "Meeting at the warehouse at 9, bringing supplies, this is happening." The warehouse Bull referred to was an old storage facility on the edge of Millbrook that the Brotherhood used for group gatherings and maintenance work on their bikes. When Jack arrived just before 9, he found 15 motorcycles already parked in neat rows outside. Inside, the space had been transformed into a tactical operations center that would have made his old army unit proud. Bull stood at the front of the group, a detailed map of the call area spread on a folding table beside him. "Listen up, people. This is a rescue operation, plain and simple. Our objectives are: 1. Retrieve all the dogs safely. 2. Gather evidence of the dogfighting operation. 3. Get out without anyone getting seriously hurt or arrested." Questions? Vincent raised his hand. "What about the guards? Brennan said there'd be 2 or 3 people on site." "We handle them non-violently if possible," Bull replied. "But make no mistake, if they threaten us or the dogs, we respond appropriately. Everyone here has combat experience. You know how to assess threats and respond proportionally." He paused, his gaze sweeping the room. "But let me be crystal clear. We're not going there to hurt anyone. We're going to rescue animals and shut down a criminal operation. We document everything with photos and video, and we make an anonymous tip to the authorities after we've secured the dogs." Thomas stepped forward, pointing to the map. "Gregory and I scouted the property again yesterday evening. The farmhouse sits about 200 yards off County Road 347. The red barn is behind the house, maybe another 100 yards. The dog kennels are between the barn and a line of trees. We counted 12 visible cages from the road, but there could be more inside the barn. We saw 2 vehicles, a grey pickup truck and a black SUV, and 2 men patrolling the perimeter." Jack's breath caught. A grey pickup truck, the same one that had circled his neighborhood the day before Duke was taken. The confirmation sent a fresh wave of rage through him, but he forced it down. Emotion had no place in tactical planning. Catherine had her laptop open, showing satellite imagery of the property. "The good news is the farm is isolated. Nearest neighbor is half a mile away. The bad news is there's only one road in and out, which means if things go wrong, we could get boxed in. I propose we position 2 people on the county road as lookouts, ready to warn us if anyone's approaching." "Agreed," Bull said. "Catherine and Gregory, you take lookout positions. The rest of us will split into 3 teams. Team 1, Thomas, Daniel and Vincent, you handle the guards. Keep them occupied and contained. Team 2, that's myself, Jack and Amanda Rodriguez, we go straight to the kennels and start getting the dogs out. Team 3, everyone else, you secure the perimeter and assist with dog transport. We're bringing 3 pickup trucks in addition to the bikes for hauling the animals." Amanda, a quiet 49-year-old veteran who'd served as a military police officer in Kosovo, spoke up. "What's our exit strategy? Where are we taking the dogs?" "The Beaumont Animal Shelter has agreed to take them. No questions asked," Bull said. I called in a favor with the director, Patricia Nguyen. She's a veteran herself and understands what we're doing. The shelter will process the dogs, get them medical attention, and work on finding them homes. The plan was solid, but Jack couldn't shake his anxiety. What if Duke wasn't there? What if Brennan had lied? What if they were already too late? Bull must have seen the worry on his face because he pulled Jack aside after the briefing. I know what you're thinking. Stop it. We have good intelligence, we've got the numbers, and we've got right on our side. Duke's going to be there, and in a few hours he'll be back where he belongs. Bull's conviction was absolute, and Jack found himself drawing strength from it. I won't let my emotions compromise the mission, Jack said. You have my word. I know you won't. That's why you're on my team. Bull handed Jack a pair of heavy work gloves and a bolt cutter. You're the one who's going to open those cages. You're the one who's going to set those dogs free. No one else. That's an order. At 10:30, the convoy rolled out of Millbrook. 15 motorcycles and 3 pickup trucks formed an impressive procession, their engines rumbling like thunder across the flat Texas landscape. They took back roads to avoid drawing attention, winding through small towns where Friday morning moved at a sleepy pace. Jack rode in the middle of the pack, his focus narrowed to a single point, getting to Duke. The closer they got to Call, the more rural the landscape became. Pine forests replaced open fields, and the houses grew farther apart. This was the kind of place where people valued privacy and didn't ask neighbors about their business. Perfect for illegal operations. Catherine and Gregory peeled off first, positioning themselves at strategic points along County Road 347. The rest of the convoy continued until they spotted the farm. Just as Thomas had described, the property sat back from the road, partially hidden by overgrown vegetation and a rusted gate hanging off its hinges. The farmhouse was a sad, sagging structure with peeling paint and broken windows. The red barn behind it looked only slightly more stable, its roof patched with mismatched metal sheets. Bull signaled for everyone to stop about a quarter mile before the farm. They gathered in a tight circle, and he gave the final instructions. Remember, quick and quiet. We get in, secure the guards, get the dogs, and get out. 15 minutes, tops. Everyone clear? Nods all around. Jack's heart pounded so hard he could feel it in his throat. His hands had stopped shaking. The tremor always disappeared when he had a mission, a clear objective. This was what he'd been trained for, what his body and mind remembered, even after years away from the military. The convoy approached the property at a normal speed, not wanting to alert anyone inside. As they turned into the driveway, Jack saw movement near the barn. A man in his 30s, wearing a stained tank top, stepped out, squinting at the approaching vehicles. His hand moved to his waistband, probably reaching for a weapon. Team 1 moved like a well-oiled machine. Thomas, Daniel, and Vincent dismounted their bikes before they'd even come to a complete stop. The guard's eyes widened as he realized he was facing 3 large, determined men. He reached for whatever was in his waistband, but Thomas was faster, covering the ground between them in long strides and grabbing the man's arm before he could draw. "Don't do anything stupid," Thomas said calmly. "We're here for the dogs. Cooperate, and nobody gets hurt." A second guard emerged from the barn, this one older and heavier, carrying a shotgun. "What the hell is this? Get off this property right now, or..." Vincent, who'd circled around the side of the barn, appeared behind the second guard and efficiently relieved him of the shotgun. "Or what? You'll shoot us?" "I don't think so. Put your hands behind your head and sit down. This'll all be over soon." Meanwhile, Jack was already running toward the kennels with Bull and Amanda close behind. The smell hit him first. A nauseating mixture of feces, urine, fear, and infected wounds. The sight that greeted them was worse than anything Jack had imagined. 12 wire cages sat in the dirt behind the barn, each containing 1 or more dogs in various states of distress. Some of the animals were pit bulls, their bodies covered in scars from fighting. Others were clearly bait animals, smaller dogs, many showing fresh wounds. A German shepherd cowered in one cage, missing half of one ear. Two beagles huddled together, their ribs visible through matted fur. And there, in the cage second from the end, was Duke. Jack's knees nearly buckled. The chocolate lab lay on his side in the filthy cage, his normally shiny coat dull and matted. But when Duke heard Jack's voice calling his name, the dog's head lifted. Recognition flared in those brown eyes, and Duke struggled to his feet, his tail beginning a weak wag that grew stronger as Jack ran to the cage. "Duke! Oh God, Duke, I'm here! I'm here, boy!" Jack's hands shook as he worked the bolt cutters on the lock. It took 3 tries to get the right angle, his vision blurred by tears he didn't bother to hide. The lock gave way, and Jack yanked the cage door open. Duke stumbled out and collapsed against Jack, whining and licking his face with desperate affection. Jack wrapped his arms around the dog, burying his face in Duke's fur, not caring about the smell or the dirt. The dog was thinner than he'd been 4 days ago, and Jack could feel his ribs. But he was alive. He was safe. "We've got to move," Bull said gently, placing a hand on Jack's shoulder. "Help me with the other cages." Jack reluctantly released Duke, who stayed pressed against his leg as if afraid to let him out of sight. Working quickly, Jack, Bull and Amanda opened every cage. The other Brotherhood members had backed the pickup trucks up to the kennel area and were loading the more severely injured dogs first. Some animals were too traumatized to move, and Vincent had to carefully lift them. Others came willingly, as if understanding they were being rescued. Inside the barn, they found even more horror. 8 additional cages held dogs in worse condition than those outside. A makeshift fighting pit had been constructed in the center of the barn, the dirt floor stained dark with blood. On the walls, someone had hung photos of previous fights, trophies of brutality. Amanda photographed everything while Jack and Bull freed the remaining dogs. One dog, a scarred pit bull with a broken leg, growled when Jack approached its cage. The animal's eyes showed no trust, only fear and pain. Jack moved slowly, speaking in the calm, gentle voice he'd always used with Duke. "Easy, boy. Nobody's going to hurt you anymore. We're the good guys." It took 5 minutes of patient coaxing before the pit bull allowed Jack close enough to open the cage. Even then, the dog wouldn't come out until Duke, still glued to Jack's side, approached and touched noses with the traumatized animal. Some understanding passed between them, and the pit bull limped out of the cage, accepting Jack's help. "Jack, we've got company." Catherine's voice crackled over the 2-way radio they'd been using. "2 vehicles heading your way fast, maybe 5 minutes out." "Time to go!" Bull shouted. The Brotherhood members moved with practiced efficiency, loading the last few dogs into the trucks. Thomas and Daniel had zip-tied the 2 guards and left them sitting against the barn wall with their cell phones just out of reach. They'd get free eventually, but not soon enough to interfere. Jack carried Duke to his motorcycle. He'd brought a specially modified sidecar attachment that he sometimes used for long rides, and he carefully secured Duke inside it, making sure the dog was comfortable. Duke looked up at him with complete trust, and Jack felt his chest tighten with emotion. The convoy pulled out of the farm just as headlights appeared in the distance on County Road 347. Bull led them on a different route than they'd come in on, using back roads that avoided the approaching vehicles. Behind them, the farm receded into the distance, but Jack knew they'd left evidence everywhere: photos, videos, and most importantly, empty cages that would tell the story when law enforcement eventually arrived. 20 minutes later, safely away from the farm, Bull pulled the convoy over at a rest stop. The 3 pickup trucks continued on to the Beaumont Animal Shelter with most of the rescued dogs, while the motorcycle riders gathered to decompress. Jack sat on the ground next to his bike, Duke's head in his lap, still hardly believing it was real. Amanda approached, her phone in hand. "I just sent all the photos and videos to the Newton County Sheriff's Office from a burner email account." included the GPS coordinates of the farm and detailed information about Curtis Brennan's operation. They'll have to investigate now. The evidence is too damning to ignore. Vincent, who'd been checking on the condition of the dogs before they left for the shelter, reported that while many were in bad shape, the veterinary staff at the shelter believed all of them would recover with proper care. "Duke's in the best shape of all of them," Vincent said to Jack. "Little dehydrated and underweight, but no injuries. You got to him just in time." The weight of that statement settled over Jack. Another day or two, and Duke might have been used in a fight. The thought was unbearable, but it didn't matter now. Duke was safe. They'd succeeded. Bull sat down next to Jack, groaning as his knees protested. "Hell of a mission, Morrison. Your dog's got good taste in friends." "He's got great taste," Jack said, his voice thick. "Thank you doesn't cover it, Bull. All of you. You risked everything to help me. I'll never forget that." "That's what brothers do," Bull said simply. "Besides, those bastards had it coming. Did you see the conditions those dogs were living in? Makes me sick." He paused, watching Duke gaze adoringly at Jack. "You know what this means though, right? Brennan and his crew are going to be pissed. The cops will probably round them up thanks to our evidence, but in the meantime, they'll be looking for whoever hit their operation. Let them look," Jack said with a hard edge to his voice. "The Iron Brotherhood doesn't scare easy. And if they want to find us, well, we'll be right here in Millbrook. They're welcome to try their luck." Thomas overheard and laughed. "Damn right. Though something tells me once Brennan sees 15 bikers rolling up on his farm and liberating 20 dogs, he'll decide it's healthier to keep his distance." The group mounted up for the ride back to Millbrook. Jack rode slowly, conscious of Duke in the sidecar, checking on him every few minutes. The dog seemed content, his head resting on the edge of the sidecar, ears flapping in the wind. By the time they reached Millbrook, the clouds that had threatened rain all day finally opened up, sending a light drizzle across the town. Jack pulled into his driveway, killed the engine and carefully lifted Duke out of the sidecar. The dog's legs were wobbly and Jack had to support most of his weight, but they made it inside together. Jack filled Duke's water bowl and watched the dog drink deeply, then prepared a small meal. Not too much, since Duke's stomach would need time to adjust after days of poor treatment. While Duke ate, Jack called the veterinarian's office and made an emergency appointment for later that afternoon. Then he sat on the kitchen floor next to Duke's food bowl, one hand gently stroking the dog's back, and finally allowed himself to fully feel the relief. Tears came then, hot and silent, streaming down his face as all the fear and tension of the past 4 days released. Duke finished eating and came to Jack, pressing his warm body against his owner's chest. The dog seemed to understand that Jack needed comfort as much as he did. They sat there together on the kitchen floor as rain pattered against the windows, two souls who'd found each other again against terrible odds. Jack's phone buzzed. A text from Bull. Local news just picked up a story. Sheriff's Department raided a property in Call, arrested 3 men on animal cruelty charges. They're crediting an anonymous tip. "We did good today, brother." Jack typed back, "We did great. Thank you again." The response came quickly. "Brotherhood meeting Sunday afternoon at my place. Cookout to celebrate. Duke's the guest of honor. No arguments." Jack smiled through his tears. For the first time in 4 days, the future looked bright again. The veterinary examination that afternoon confirmed what Vincent had suspected. Duke was dehydrated and had lost nearly 8 pounds, but otherwise showed no signs of injury or illness. Dr. Lisa Montgomery, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, who'd been treating Duke since Jack first got him, expressed her fury at the dog's condition. "Whoever did this should rot in jail," she said, running her hands over Duke's coat to check for injuries. "He's got some minor abrasions on his paws, probably from the wire cage floor, and his gums show signs of dehydration. I'm going to give him subcutaneous fluids and put him on a high-calorie diet for the next 2 weeks." Bring him back next Friday so I can check his weight." Jack sat in the examination room, reluctant to let Duke out of his sight even for a moment. The dog seemed equally anxious about separation, whining whenever Jack moved more than a few feet away. Dr. Montgomery noticed and gave Jack a sympathetic look. He's going to be clingy for a while. Dogs experience trauma just like people do. The good news is that dogs are remarkably resilient, especially when they're back with someone they trust. Keep his routine as normal as possible, give him extra reassurance, and he'll recover. You might consider talking to your therapist too. This kind of stress can trigger PTSD symptoms. Jack nodded, recognizing the truth in her words. He'd already experienced 2 flashbacks since Duke's return, his mind struggling to process the fear and violence of the past few days. But having Duke back made everything manageable again. The dog was his anchor, his connection to the present moment. Saturday morning, Jack woke to find Duke sleeping on the bed beside him, something the dog hadn't done since he was a puppy. Jack didn't have the heart to move him. They lay there together as sunlight filtered through the curtains, and for the first time in nearly a week, Jack felt at peace. His phone rang around 9 o'clock. The caller ID showed an unfamiliar number with a Beaumont area code. Jack answered cautiously. "Is this Jack Morrison?" A woman's voice, professional and friendly, speaking. "Mr. Morrison, my name is Patricia Nguyen. I'm the director of the Beaumont Animal Shelter. I understand you were involved in rescuing the dogs we received yesterday." Jack's stomach clenched. Had they somehow traced the rescue back to him? "I'm not sure what you're talking about." Patricia's laugh was warm. "Relax, Mr. Morrison. Bull Patterson told me you might be nervous. I'm calling to thank you, not to cause problems. What you and your friends did was extraordinary. Those dogs were in terrible condition, but our veterinary team has been working around the clock, and we believe all 20 will make full recoveries." Relief flooded through Jack. "That's wonderful news. I'm glad they're safe. We're going to need help finding homes for them once they're healthy enough for adoption. Many of them will require special care and patient owners who understand trauma. I was hoping the Iron Brotherhood might be willing to help spread the word in the community. Veterans adopting veterans rescued dogs. It would make a beautiful story." Jack found himself smiling. "I'll talk to Bull. I think we'd be honored to help." After the call ended, Jack forwarded the information to the Brotherhood's group chat. The response was immediate and enthusiastic. Catherine volunteered to create social media posts about the dogs. Thomas offered to reach out to veteran organizations across Texas. Amanda suggested organizing an adoption event at Bull's property. Within an hour, the Brotherhood had transformed from a rescue team into an adoption coordination committee. But not everyone was celebrating. That afternoon, Jack received a very different kind of call. The voice on the other end was rough and angry. "Curtis Brennan, you made a big mistake, old man. You and your biker friends think you can just waltz onto my property and steal my dogs? That's thousands of dollars in inventory you cost me." Jack's hand tightened on the phone. "Those weren't your dogs. You stole them from families. And judging by the news reports, you're going to be spending the next few years in prison for animal cruelty. I'd suggest you worry more about your legal situation and less about threatening me." "The cops don't have shit," Brennan snarled. "Some anonymous photos? My lawyer will get that thrown out. But you, I know who you are now. I know where you live. And I've got friends who don't appreciate people interfering in their business." "Then tell your friends to come see me," Jack said coldly. "I'll be right here in Millbrook, but fair warning, I'm not alone and we're not afraid of you. You want to escalate this, we'll finish it. Your choice." Brennan hung up without responding. Jack immediately called Bull and relayed the conversation. "He's just trying to scare you," Bull said, though his tone was serious. "But we should take precautions anyway. I'll have someone from the Brotherhood ride by your place a few times a day, just to make sure nothing suspicious is happening. And Jack, don't go anywhere alone for a while. If Brennan's stupid enough to try something, we need to be ready. The next 48 hours passed in a state of heightened alert. Jack found himself checking the locks on his doors multiple times, keeping his phone close and scanning every vehicle that drove down his street. Duke seemed to sense his tension and stayed even closer than usual, his warm presence a constant comfort. Sunday afternoon arrived with clear skies and temperatures in the low 70s, perfect weather for Bull's cookout. Jack loaded Duke into the sidecar and rode to Bull's property, where he found the entire Brotherhood already gathered. 15 motorcycles lined the driveway, and the smell of grilling meat filled the air. Someone had strung up a banner that read, "Welcome home, Duke," in hand-painted letters. The celebration was exactly what Jack needed. His brothers and sisters in the Iron Brotherhood gathered around, sharing stories and laughter, making a fuss over Duke, who soaked up the attention with tail-wagging enthusiasm. Catherine had brought her own dog, a border collie named Ranger, and the two animals played in Bull's spacious yard while the humans watched and cheered them on. Bull raised a beer bottle and called for attention. "I want to make a toast to Jack and Duke, proof that loyalty and love are worth fighting for, and to the Iron Brotherhood, proof that when veterans stick together, there's nothing we can't accomplish." "Hear, hear!" the group responded, raising their own drinks. Thomas added, "And to the 20 dogs we rescued, may they all find homes as good as the one Duke has." As the afternoon wore on, Jack found himself in conversation with Gregory Foster, the quiet member of the Brotherhood who rarely spoke but never missed a group event. Gregory had suffered severe PTSD after serving in Afghanistan, and social situations were often difficult for him. But today he seemed relaxed, even smiling as he watched Duke play. "Your dog's special," Gregory said quietly. "The way he stayed calm in that cage, the way he helped that pit bull trust you, he's got a good heart." "He saved my life," Jack replied simply. "After my wife died, I didn't see a point in going on. Duke gave me a reason to get up every morning. When they took him, it was like losing Janet all over again." Gregory nodded, understanding in his eyes. "I get that. After I came back from Kandahar, I tried to kill myself twice. The VA put me on medication, sent me to therapy, but nothing helped until I started riding with this group. Bull and the others, they don't judge. They don't expect me to be anything other than what I am. That acceptance saved me." "That's what brotherhood means," Jack said. "Having people who understand without you having to explain." Their conversation was interrupted by Amanda, who approached with her phone in hand and a grim expression. "Jack, you need to see this. Curtis Brennan just posted on social media." The post was a rant about being falsely accused, claiming the dogs on his property were rescues he was rehabilitating, and promising revenge on the people who'd framed him. But what made Jack's blood run cold was the final line. "I know who you are, Iron Brotherhood. See you soon." Bull read the post over Jack's shoulder and immediately shifted into tactical mode. "Everyone listen up. Brennan just made a public threat against us. We need to assume he's serious. From now until this is resolved, nobody rides alone. We travel in groups of at least 3. Jack, you're staying at my place tonight. I've got a spare room, and Duke's welcome too." "I'm not running from this guy," Jack protested. "You're not running. You're being smart. If Brennan wants to come after us, let him come here where we've got numbers and home field advantage. Your place is isolated. Mine isn't." Bull's tone left no room for argument. That evening, Jack found himself in Bull's comfortable guest room with Duke curled up on a dog bed Bull had set up. Through the window, Jack could see 3 Brotherhood members sitting on the porch, keeping watch. The precaution seemed excessive, but he understood the logic. Brennan had already shown he was willing to break the law and hurt innocent animals. Threatening humans wasn't a big leap. Monday morning brought news that changed everything. Thomas called just after 7 o'clock, his voice excited. "Turn on Channel 6 News. Now." Jack grabbed the remote and switched on the television. The morning news anchor, a polished woman named Rebecca Chen, was in the middle of a story. Arrested early this morning in a coordinated operation by the Newton County Sheriff's Office and the Texas Rangers. Curtis James Brennan and 6 associates are facing multiple charges, including animal cruelty, operating an illegal gambling operation, and conspiracy. Authorities say the investigation began with an anonymous tip that led them to a property in Cole, Texas, where they discovered evidence of a dog-fighting ring. The screen showed footage of Brennan being led away in handcuffs, his face twisted in anger. The news anchor continued, "According to Sheriff Robert Walsh, this is one of the largest dog-fighting busts in East Texas history. Officials are also investigating allegations that the operation was connected to organized crime networks operating in Louisiana and Arkansas." Jack felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Brennan was in custody. The threat was neutralized, at least for now. Bull appeared in the doorway of the guest room, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "Looks like the law caught up with our friend. Can't say I'm sorry to see it." "Think they'll make the charges stick?" Jack asked, accepting one of the mugs. "With the evidence we provided, the photos, the videos, the GPS coordinates, they'd have to be incompetent not to. And once they searched the property and found all that equipment for dogfighting, plus financial records of the gambling operation, Brennan's looking at serious prison time, 10 years minimum, I'd guess." A bull sat down in the chair by the window. "You can go home, Jack. It's over." But it wasn't quite over. Later that week, Jack received a call from Sheriff Robert Walsh himself. The sheriff was a veteran, Army, First Gulf War, and he'd heard through the veteran community grapevine about the Iron Brotherhood's role in the rescue. "Officially, I can't condone civilians taking the law into their own hands," Walsh said, his tone carefully neutral. "Officially, I have to say you should have called law enforcement and let us handle it." "And unofficially?" Jack asked. "Unofficially? You did good work. Without that anonymous tip and the evidence that came with it, we might never have built a case against Brennan. Those dogs would still be suffering, and that bastard would still be operating. So, unofficially, thank you for your service, both to your country and to those animals." The sheriff's words meant more to Jack than he expected. Validation from law enforcement confirmed that what the Brotherhood had done was right, even if the methods had been unconventional. 2 weeks after Duke's rescue, Patricia Nguyen called to update Jack on the status of the other dogs. "We've had an overwhelming response from the community," she said, her voice bright with emotion. 17 of the 20 dogs have already been adopted. The remaining 3 are still undergoing medical treatment, but we have applications pending for all of them. I wanted you to know that the pit bull with the broken leg, the one you helped rescue from the barn, he's been adopted by a veteran in Beaumont. The family named him Morrison, after you." Jack found himself blinking back tears. "They named him Morrison. They said when they heard the story of how you talked him out of the cage, they knew it was the perfect name. That dog was so traumatized he wouldn't let anyone touch him for the first 3 days. But your patience and gentleness gave him the courage to trust humans again. The family who adopted him has experience with traumatized animals, and they're committed to giving him the life he deserves." After the call ended, Jack sat on his porch with Duke beside him, processing everything that had happened over the past 3 weeks. He'd lost Duke, found him again, helped rescue 19 other dogs, and been part of bringing down a criminal operation. The experience had been terrifying and exhausting, but it had also reminded him of something important. He wasn't alone. He had the Brotherhood. He had purpose. He had Duke. Dr. Helen Chen, his VA therapist, was impressed during their next session. "You took a traumatic situation and turned it into action," she said, making notes on her tablet. "Instead of spiraling into depression or letting the PTSD overwhelm you, you reached out to your support network and worked together toward a solution." "That's significant growth, Jack. "I didn't have a choice," Jack replied. "Duke needed me." "But you did have a choice in how you responded. You could have given up, assumed he was gone forever. Instead, you fought for him. And in the process, you saved 20 dogs and helped dismantle a criminal enterprise. That's something to be proud of." Jack looked down at Duke, who was sleeping peacefully on the therapist's office floor. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Dr. Chen said gently. "You did what a good man with a strong support system and a deep capacity for love would do. Not everyone has those resources. The fact that you do, and that you use them effectively, speaks to how far you've come in your healing journey." 3 months after Duke's rescue, life in Millbrook had settled into a new normal. Curtis Brennan and 4 of his associates had been sentenced to prison terms ranging from 8 to 15 years. The other 2 had received probation in exchange for testimony against the operation's connections to organized crime in Louisiana. The Newton County Sheriff's Office had launched a task force focused on animal cruelty, and Sheriff Walsh credited the Iron Brotherhood, though not by name, with inspiring the initiative. The Brotherhood itself had grown. Word of the rescue had spread through veteran networks across Texas, and 3 new members had joined the group, all of them drawn by the story of veterans coming together to save innocent animals. The Sunday rides had become community events, with the group often stopping at local shelters to make donations and raise awareness about animal welfare. Jack stood in his kitchen on a Saturday morning in early spring, watching Duke chase butterflies in the backyard. The dog had fully recovered, gaining back the weight he'd lost, and then some. His coat gleamed in the sunlight and his energy was boundless. But more than that, Duke seemed happy, truly, deeply content in a way that radiated from every wag of his tail. The doorbell rang, and Jack opened it to find Bull standing on the porch with a young couple and a chocolate lab puppy. The couple looked nervous, the woman clutching the puppy while the man shifted his weight from foot to foot. "Jack, this is Andrew and Christina Palmer," Bull said. "They're both veterans. Andrew served in Afghanistan, Christina in Iraq. They just moved to Millbrook last month, and they adopted one of the dogs we rescued. They wanted to meet you." The Palmers stepped forward, and Jack saw that the puppy in Christina's arms wasn't actually a puppy. It was one of the beagles from the rescue, small enough that it looked young. The dog's ribs no longer showed, and its coat had been cleaned and brushed until it shone. "We named her Hope," Christina said, her voice thick with emotion. "The shelter told us she was one of the dogs you saved. We wanted to thank you in person. Hope has changed our lives. Andrew's been struggling with PTSD, and having her has given him something to focus on, a reason to maintain routines and take care of himself." Andrew nodded, reaching out to shake Jack's hand. His grip was firm, but Jack noticed the slight tremor. He recognized it from his own hands. "Bull told us about Duke, about what happened and how the Brotherhood came together to get him back. That kind of loyalty, it's what we're missing after leaving the service. We were wondering if we could join the Iron Brotherhood. We both ride, and we want to be part of something bigger than ourselves." Jack looked at Bull, who gave a small nod. "You'd be welcome," Jack said. "The Brotherhood isn't about the bikes or the rides, though those are important. It's about having each other's backs. It's about understanding that we all carry scars, visible and invisible, and we don't have to carry them alone." "That's exactly what we need," Christina said. "We've been feeling lost since we moved here. The VA helps, but it's not the same as connecting with people who understand." They talked for another hour, sitting on Jack's porch while Duke and Hope played in the yard. Bull explained the Brotherhood's structure, the weekly rides, the monthly meetings, and the unwritten code that governed the group: respect, loyalty, and support above all else. The Palmers listened intently, asking questions, and by the time they left, they'd committed to attending the next group ride. After they departed, Bull lingered on the porch with Jack. "That's the 4th family who's asked to join since the rescue. The Brotherhood's becoming something bigger than we planned." "Is that a bad thing?" Jack asked. No, but it means we need to be intentional about maintaining what makes us special. We're not just a motorcycle club. We're a support network for veterans who need connection and purpose. As we grow, we can't lose sight of that. Bull watched Duke investigate a hole in the corner of the yard. What you started with Duke's rescue, it showed people what veterans are capable of when we work together. It gave people hope. The following week, the Iron Brotherhood organized its first official charity event, a motorcycle rally to raise money for the Beaumont Animal Shelter and other rescue organizations across East Texas. They'd partnered with local businesses in Millbrook and surrounding towns, securing donations of food, services, and raffle prizes. The event was scheduled for a Saturday in April, with proceeds going toward medical care for rescued animals. Jack found himself on the organizing committee alongside Catherine and Thomas. They met at Bull's workshop 3 times a week, coordinating logistics, designing promotional materials, and reaching out to media contacts. The work was consuming, but Jack discovered he enjoyed it. Having a project, a mission, gave structure to his days and connected him with people in meaningful ways. The rally exceeded everyone's expectations. More than 200 motorcycles showed up, their riders coming from across Texas and even neighboring states. The Millbrook Town Square was transformed into a festival ground with food vendors, live music, and booths where rescue organizations showcased animals available for adoption. Duke became something of a celebrity, with dozens of people asking to meet the dog whose rescue had inspired the event. Patricia Nguyen set up a booth displaying photos of the 20 dogs rescued from Brennan's operation. Beneath each photo was an update. 17 had been adopted and were thriving in their new homes. The 3 who'd required extended medical care were now healthy and had been placed with families. One of those families brought their dog to the rally, Morrison, the pit bull Jack had coaxed from the cage. Morrison had transformed completely. His broken leg had healed, his scars had faded, and the fear in his eyes had been replaced with cautious trust. His adoptive family, the Rodriguez clan from Beaumont, included 3 children who'd learned to be gentle and patient with the traumatized dog. The youngest, a 7-year-old girl named Sophia, held Morrison's leash with obvious pride. "He sleeps in my room now," Sophia told Jack, her gap-toothed smile radiant. At first, he was scared of everything. "But now, he lets me brush him and we play fetch. Daddy says Morrison is the bravest dog he ever met because he learned to trust people again, even after bad people hurt him." Jack knelt down to Morrison's level. The dog watched him warily for a moment. Then recognition seemed to dawn. Morrison's tail began a slow wag, and he took a hesitant step forward. Jack extended his hand, and the pit bull sniffed it, then licked his fingers. The simple gesture of trust brought tears to Jack's eyes. "You did good, boy," Jack murmured. "You survived, and now you've got a family who loves you. That's all any of us can hope for." The rally raised over $15,000 for animal rescue organizations across the region, but more than that, it strengthened connections within the veteran community and raised awareness about both animal welfare and the struggles veterans faced when transitioning back to civilian life. Several local businesses pledged ongoing support, and the mayor of Millbrook personally thanked Bull and the Brotherhood for their service to the community. That night, after the crowds had dispersed and the town square had been cleaned up, the Iron Brotherhood gathered at Bull's property for a private celebration. Someone had brought a guitar, and old military songs filled the air. Jack sat slightly apart from the main group, Duke's head resting on his knee, and watched his brothers and sisters laugh and talk and simply exist together without judgment or pretense. Vincent approached and sat down beside him. "You look contemplative. Just thinking about how different things are now compared to 3 months ago," Jack said. "When Duke was taken, I felt like my world was ending. I couldn't see past the fear and anger. But looking around at all this, The new members, the rally, the dogs we saved finding homes. Something good came out of that nightmare. That's the thing about trauma, Vincent said thoughtfully. It can destroy you, or it can transform you. The choice isn't always clear in the moment, but the people around you can make all the difference. You had the brotherhood, so you didn't have to face the nightmare alone. And now other people are finding that same support. "Did Bull put you up to getting philosophical with me?" Jack asked with a slight smile. Vincent laughed. "Maybe. He wanted to make sure you understood how important you are to this group. You're not just a member, Jack. You're part of the heart of what makes the Brotherhood work. Your courage during Duke's rescue, the way you put aside your own pain to help those other dogs, the way you've thrown yourself into this charity work. It inspires people." Andrew and Christina Palmer? They didn't join because of the motorcycles. They joined because they heard your story and wanted to be part of a community that values loyalty and compassion. Jack didn't know what to say to that. He'd never seen himself as inspirational, just a broken veteran trying to get through each day. But maybe that was the point. Maybe inspiration didn't come from having everything figured out, but from showing up even when things were hard, from reaching out even when isolation seemed safer, from fighting for what mattered even when the odds seemed impossible. A month later, Jack received an unexpected visitor. Officer Raymond Cooper, the young cop who'd taken the initial report about Duke's theft, appeared at his door in plain clothes on a Sunday afternoon. "Mr. Morrison, I hope I'm not intruding. I wanted to talk to you about something, and I thought it better to do it off the record." Cooper looked nervous, his hands shoved in his jacket pockets. Jack invited him in, curiosity overriding caution. They sat in the living room while Duke inspected the visitor thoroughly before settling at Jack's feet. "I owe you an apology," Cooper began. "When you called about your dog being stolen, I didn't take it seriously enough. I treated it like a minor property crime instead of recognizing how important Duke is to you. I've been thinking about that a lot since the whole thing with Brennan's arrest came out." "You were doing your job," Jack said, though he remembered the frustration of that morning vividly. "No, I was going through the motions. There's a difference." Cooper leaned forward, his expression earnest. "I'm a veteran too, Air Force, served in Qatar. When I got out, I thought becoming a cop would give me the same sense of purpose I had in the military. But the reality is a lot of paperwork, a lot of calls that don't lead anywhere, and a lot of people who see us as the enemy. I got jaded. I stopped seeing the people behind the reports." "What changed?" Jack asked. "Your story. The way the Iron Brotherhood came together to save Duke and those other dogs. It reminded me why I became a cop in the first place, to help people, to make a difference. I've started taking calls more seriously, looking at each one as an opportunity to actually solve a problem instead of just filing paperwork." Cooper paused. "I heard about the Brotherhood's rally last month. I was wondering if you'd consider letting me join. I've got a bike and I could use the connection with other veterans. The guys at the station are good people, but they don't understand what it's like to serve." Jack studied the young officer, seeing the same need for belonging that he'd felt after leaving the army. "I think you'd fit in well. We meet every Sunday at 2 o'clock at Bull Patterson's place. I'll text you the address. Fair warning, though, we're not always easy to deal with. We've all got our demons, and sometimes meetings get emotional. But we're there for each other, and that's what matters." Cooper's face lit up with relief. "Thank you, really, this means a lot." After Cooper left, Jack texted Bull about the new potential member. The response was immediate. "A cop in the Brotherhood? Hell, that might actually be useful. Bring him next week." As spring turned to summer, the Iron Brotherhood continued to evolve. The weekly rides became larger, sometimes including 20 or more motorcycles. The group formalized its charity work, establishing the Veterans for Animals Foundation with Patricia Nguyen's help. They organized adoption events, funded medical care for rescue animals, and even started a program training service dogs for veterans with PTSD. Jack found himself busier than he'd been in years. Between brotherhood activities, volunteering at the animal shelter, and maintaining his house and property, his days were full. But it was a good kind of busy, the type that gave life meaning and purpose. His PTSD symptoms hadn't disappeared, but they'd become manageable. He still had bad days, still experienced flashbacks and anxiety, but Duke was always there to ground him, and the Brotherhood provided support when he needed it. One evening in July, Jack received a call from an unfamiliar number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Is this Jack Morrison?" An elderly woman's voice, shaky with age or emotion. "Yes, ma'am. Who's calling?" "My name is Dorothy Fletcher. I live in Beaumont. I saw the story about you and your dog on the news, how your motorcycle club saved all those animals. I wanted to call because my husband was a veteran too. He passed away 2 years ago, and I've been struggling to find homes for his things. He had a collection of military memorabilia, some of it quite valuable. I was wondering if your Brotherhood might be interested in it, or if you knew of a museum that might want it." Jack thought for a moment. "Mrs. Fletcher, I'd be happy to come take a look. And I know Bull. He's the president of our club. He's very interested in military history. When would be convenient for you?" They arranged a meeting for the following week. When Jack and Bull arrived at Dorothy Fletcher's modest home in Beaumont, they found her to be a sharp-witted woman in her 80s with a living room full of carefully preserved military items. Her husband, Colonel Richard Fletcher, had served in Vietnam, and his collection included medals, photographs, uniforms, and documents spanning a 30-year military career. Richard always said he wanted his things to go to people who would appreciate them, who understood what military service meant, Dorothy said, her hands trembling slightly as she showed them a shadow box containing Colonel Fletcher's decorations. "I don't have children, and my nephews have no interest in military history. When I saw your group on the news, I thought perhaps you might know what to do with all this." Bull handled each item with reverence, his eyes growing misty as he examined a photograph of Colonel Fletcher with his unit in the Mekong Delta. "Ma'am, this is a remarkable collection. Your husband was a true American hero. With your permission, I'd like to create a memorial display at our Brotherhood meeting place. We could dedicate a wall to Colonel Fletcher's service, ensuring his sacrifice is remembered and honored." Dorothy's face crumpled with relief and gratitude. "That would be wonderful. Richard would have loved knowing other veterans appreciated his service." They spent the afternoon carefully packing Colonel Fletcher's belongings. As they worked, Dorothy shared stories about her husband, his struggles with what they called shell shock back then, his dedication to fellow veterans, his belief that service meant something bigger than personal glory. Jack found himself deeply moved by the parallels between Colonel Fletcher's experiences and his own. Before they left, Dorothy pressed an envelope into Jack's hand. "This is a donation for your animal rescue work. Richard loved dogs. We always had at least 2 in the house. He would have been proud of what you did, saving those animals." Jack opened the envelope later and found a check for $5,000. He immediately called Dorothy to make sure it wasn't a mistake. "It's exactly what I intended," she said firmly. "Richard's life insurance policy left me comfortable, and I want his legacy to include helping veterans and animals. Please accept it with my gratitude for giving his memory a proper home." The Colonel Richard Fletcher Memorial Wall was unveiled at the Brotherhood's meeting place in August. Dorothy attended the ceremony, along with several of the Colonel's former comrades whom Bull had tracked down and invited. The wall featured Colonel Fletcher's medals, photographs from his service, and a plaque describing his dedication to veterans and animals. It became a centerpiece of the Brotherhood's space, a reminder of the legacy they were all part of. September brought cooler temperatures and the first hints of autumn in East Texas. Jack sat on his porch one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. Duke lay beside him, now 12 pounds heavier than his pre-rescue weight and looking healthier than ever. The dog's presence was a constant comfort, a living reminder that even in the darkest moments, hope could survive. Jack's phone buzzed with a text from Bull. Board meeting tomorrow at 10. Need to discuss expanding the foundation to Houston. Big opportunities opening up. Jack smiled. The Brotherhood had come so far from its origins as a simple riding group. They were making real differences in people's lives, veterans finding community, animals finding homes, resources flowing to where they were needed most. And it had all started because someone had stolen his dog and a group of veterans had refused to let one of their own suffer alone. Another text came through, this one from Andrew Palmer. Christina and I wanted to thank you again for welcoming us to the Brotherhood. We're celebrating our anniversary tonight, and we both agreed that joining your group has been one of the best decisions we've made. Hope sends her love to Duke. Jack typed back a reply, then set his phone aside and simply sat with Duke, enjoying the peaceful evening. Life wasn't perfect. He still struggled with PTSD, still missed Janet every day, still had moments when the darkness threatened to overwhelm him. But he wasn't alone in those struggles anymore. He had Duke. He had the Brotherhood. He had purpose. A motorcycle engine rumbled in the distance, growing closer. Vincent pulled into Jack's driveway and killed the engine, dismounting with a broad smile. Thought I'd stop by, see if you wanted to take an evening ride. Weather's perfect and the roads are clear. Vincent noticed Duke and added, bring the furry co-pilot. We'll take the scenic route through the state park. Jack stood, his joints protesting less than they had 6 months ago. Regular riding had strengthened his legs and improved his overall fitness. Give me 5 minutes to get Duke's sidecar attached. They rode through the twilight, the wind carrying the scent of pine trees and approaching rain. Duke's ears flapped in the breeze, his expression pure contentment. Vincent led them on back roads Jack had never explored, past farms and forests and small towns where people waved from their porches. At a roadside rest stop overlooking a valley, they pulled over. The sun had fully set, and stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Jack lifted Duke out of the sidecar, and the dog immediately began investigating the new smells. You know what I realized today? Vincent said, leaning against his bike. Before I joined the Brotherhood, I went weeks without talking to anyone except cashiers and my therapist. I was isolated, lonely, and I didn't even recognize how bad it had gotten. Now I can't imagine going a day without connecting with someone from the group. You all saved my life, just like we saved Duke's. We save each other, Jack said. That's how it works. We're all broken in different ways, but together we're stronger than any of us could be alone. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Duke explore until the dog tired himself out and came back to sit at Jack's feet. The stars multiplied overhead, and somewhere in the distance, another motorcycle engine hummed. Probably another Brotherhood member out enjoying the evening. Jack thought about everything that had led to this moment. Janet's death and the depression that followed. Finding Duke and learning to live again. The terror of losing Duke and the desperate rescue mission. The Brotherhood coming together, proving that loyalty and love could overcome even the darkest circumstances. The new members finding hope, the dogs finding homes, the expanding charity work, all of it connected, all of it meaningful. Ready to head back? Vincent asked. Yeah, got a big day tomorrow with the foundation planning meeting. Jack loaded Duke back into the sidecar, making sure the dog was comfortable. Thanks for suggesting this ride. I needed it. Any time, brother. That's what we're here for. The ride home was peaceful, the roads nearly empty. Jack's mind wandered to future plans. The foundation's expansion to Houston, the upcoming holiday adoption event, the possibility of starting a program that connected shelter dogs with veterans who needed service animals. There was so much work to be done, so many lives that could be touched. But in this moment, riding through the Texas night with his dog beside him and his friend leading the way, Jack Morrison felt something he hadn't experienced in years: complete and total peace. He was exactly where he was supposed to be, doing exactly what he was meant to do. He was home.